Hi, my name is Michael Pazza, and I want to take you today through the history, evolution of waste management practices in Europe. We started dealing with waste problem by landfilling them. And when I say landfilling, it means that we dispose them not to a basic pits in the ground, but we actually dispose them in places where we try to secure the land and the waters. Landfills, however, were bringing several major problems. First of all, the odors. The thing that causes a lot of social unrest and makes landfills really hard to locate anywhere in the world. Secondly, recycling. Landfills were not designed to harness the potential of resources in the waste. Thirdly, the greenhouse gases emissions. And mainly we're talking about fermentation happening in the landfills that causes methane to reach the atmosphere. Methane is 25 times more potent as greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. Thirdly, most of the landfills, through leachages of ammonia to the ground, actually influence groundwaters in a very, very harmful way. However, simply from the waste management systems, they also have pros. They do not require people to segregate waste. You can have a very, very simple collection method, and they are cheap. However, because of all those problems that I mentioned before, we needed a different technology. And the technology came as incineration. The incineration is, unfortunately, the most expensive waste treatment technology on the market. And this is not so much about the technology of incineration. It's all about flue gas treatment. This is the most expensive part of a proper incinerator. Then the problem is that despite the flue gas treatment, because we actually do not control what we put into those incinerators, we actually do not really know what we're emitting. And this is a problem of today's incinerators. Thirdly, they also waste the resource potential in the waste. The good side is that we produce some electricity. Then, it doesn't smell bad anymore, contrary to the landfills. And thirdly, we still can use a very simple way of collection of waste. But because incineration was so expensive, mechanical biological treatment, which is a combination of sorting, manual or mechanical sorting of waste, and composting of mostly organic fraction, was designed and put into life. Mechanical biological treatment is solving the problem of money, but unfortunately, because it costs less than incineration, but unfortunately, still, the recycling levels are appalling. They're very, very low. And unfortunately, due to instabilities in the process, in the biological process, the same problem as with the landfills occurred. Odors. Most of mechanical biological treatment facilities cause odor problems. However, they allow for a certain amount of recycling. And to give you an example, Poland is a country where over the past 5 years, we've built at least 30 state-of-the-art mechanical biological treatment facilities. And I'm actually sad to say that they have given, on average, 6% of recycling. Yet, they're designed to work with residual waste, unsegregated waste. So this we can also put as a pro of mechanical biological treatment. As I mentioned, both technologies, or all three of them so far, they actually do not allow us to harness the resource potential in the waste. So, because we already had these technologies in place, European Union has decided that people have to do the job and segregate waste. Now, this is unpleasant because we need to have a complicated system with a lot of rules. In Europe, we basically have 5 bins in every house. Now, the segregation itself costs more money because of the logistics. And people, the society in general, is not very fond of it. Yet, this allows us to increase our recycling levels. And it gives us some money from the recyclables. So, we've reached a point where we're able in Europe to design a technology that we refer to as advanced recycling. Advanced recycling is a technology that still requires a certain amount of money for the investment, but the same as incinerators, it doesn't cause any other problems. Now, it still works very well even with the simplest collection method. It doesn't expect the people to do the job for the technology. It allows for high recycling levels, and it also allows to produce electricity just from the renewable fraction of waste, namely biomass. And because of all that, it is the only technology that does not require long-term contracts or subsidies from European governments. So, what happened in Europe is that because all of the incineration and mechanical biological treatment was in place, and we wanted to get some recycling, we had to put segregation on top of those technologies. And as an effect, some of the pros of those technologies were lost to get some recycling. Namely, where incineration was, we could no longer put waste to one bin, but we had to segregate it. And the logistics became much more expensive. On the other hand, we did get more recycling. The same thing happened with mechanical biological treatment that was connected with segregation of waste. It became more expensive, but there was some money from the recyclables, yet the people had to start collecting waste in 5 different bins. So, because European Union has built a huge capacity of incinerators and mechanical biological facilities, Europe has ended up with overcapacity of those. So the system that was created in Europe, it has a lot of capacity. It is expensive because it combines expensive technologies with expensive logistics. It is complicated because we expect the people to remember a lot of rules of where to put and where not to put waste. And in the end, its efficiency does not depend on the technology. It depends on the people. So if a society has high awareness, we see that recycling levels can be high. But if a society has not fulfilled its basic needs, then the recycling levels are very, very low. On the other hand, if we can see what happens if we apply the advanced recycling technology to the waste management system, we see that we can get an inexpensive system that is simple, that depends on the technology, not on the people. And because of all the resources that it creates, it's actually very healthy for local economy. So, basically, how to avoid EU waste management mistakes? Simply start building the system from advanced recycling rather than expensive incineration. Thank you.